In this video, I'm going to walk you through how you can get Clutch connected to WordPress. To get started, let's just create a new project and we'll choose the WordPress template. Once your canvas loads, you'll notice that the WordPress plugin has a red dot. This indicates that WordPress is not connected and you're not yet ready to use the WordPress plugin. So you can click here to learn more. And you can follow this guide, but I'm going to walk you through it. So let's go through and download the Clutch plugin. And the next thing you'll want to do is to get a WordPress site going. I'm going to use local, but you can use your site that's hosted on WP Engine or whatever host that you use. I'm going to call mine Getting Connected. And we'll go through all of these steps. All right. And now let's jump into our new WordPress site. Now we're still not ready. We need to go and install our plugin. So we'll click Install Now. We'll click Activate. And you'll know it worked if you see this new Clutch menu here on the left. Now we'll get our URL. That's everything before WP Admin. We'll go back to Clutch. We'll paste it into here and we'll click Connect. If you see a green dot, it means it worked. There's a couple of things that we should note in here. One is that we do cache your data from WordPress as you are doing work. You can come here to clear over as you're working to see new data flow in, or you are welcome to actually turn the cache off. However, if you do this, the pages might slow down a bit as you're working. So I'd only recommend turning this off if you're doing a lot of changes to data and need to see that reflected in the builder interface. Otherwise, as you're just styling things and you're only updating data every once in a while, I'd recommend leaving this turned on and clicking Clear Cache manually. Now that we're in and now that we're connected, let's go ahead and build a home page and get that set up. The first thing we'll need to do is come into WordPress and go to Settings, and then Reading, and then we need to say that our home page, and we're going to need to pick a static page for this to go to. So we'll pick Sample Page, which we will later on make our home page. So we'll click Save Changes. Now we'll come to our pages, and you can see that it's set to Front Page. So let's click Edit. And we'll make this go away, and we'll title this Home Page, and we'll leave all this in here. Now, let's insert a nice section, and we'll put the data in here. We don't need these buttons. We don't need this image. We don't need this here. That looks pretty good. Now that we have some text to bind, let's click on our page and we'll click on Template and we'll choose Front Page. And now we can bind to our front page data. Now we're going to see one thing happen here that is not what you want. You're going to notice that this piece of text renders with all of the tags inside. And what you'd actually rather have is this to render as HTML. In the future, we're probably going to change the way that this works. But for now, we need to swap this text out with a rich text. To get to a rich text, we're going to go to our library and type in the word rich. And you have two options here. You can either insert a rich text separately, or you can hold Alt and you can convert this into a rich text. So if you hold Alt, it turns into convert. And then if you click, it takes your current thing and converts it. And so we have now converted our text area into a rich text, and you can see that it properly renders the block quotes and the paragraph tags, and we're good to go. I do also want to point out that this will work with a small collection of Gutenberg blocks. We've turned off all the incompatible Gutenberg blocks, and we've left you with image, heading, list, and paragraph. These are the ones that work well with Clutch today. But we are going to expand this to where you can create Clutch components and then synchronize them, and they will show up in here for content editors to use. Let's try an image, for example. And here's one of Clutch. We'll upload that. And you can see it here. All right, and we'll click Save. And if we come back to Clutch and we refresh, you don't see it. And that's because of what I told you about the cache clear. Now, if we refresh, you see the image shows up in here. So that's how you'd wire up data to your home page. What about other types of pages? Let's add a new page. And let's explore all the different types of pages that we can create and how they map to the various post types and pages and taxonomies that are available in WordPress. So you can choose none, which that just means it doesn't map to anything. You can choose to map it to the front page, which we just did, a search results page, a not found or 404 page, an author page. Inside of post types, you've got posts, in which case you can choose this to represent the post archive, any post. So if you choose this one, it will end up representing any post, or a specific post. And in this case, you'd pick one specific post. You also have the same thing for pages and media. And if you add custom post types, that will show up on this list. Then you have the ability to create pages for category archives and tags. In our case, let's choose page and let's choose specific page. And if we do this, we're given a drop-down where we can choose a page, and we don't have any. So let's go back to our WordPress backend and let's go create a new page. And we'll call this our new page. This is a great page. And we'll make sure we publish it. And then we'll go back to Clutch. And you'll see our new page, and we'll choose that. By default, Clutch tries to put the page at the path /pages/our new page. But if you don't want that, you can modify this to be whatever you want. In fact, it doesn't even need to match here. And you follow the same process. You can either insert a section like we did, or if you don't want to mess with that, and we don't care how this page looks because this isn't what this demo is about, I'm just going to hit number 1 to get a heading, and I'm going to hit P to get a paragraph, and I'll just show you that we can actually do this. So we'll go to the page data, the title, and we'll click here. And actually, we want this to be a rich text, so I should have inserted this. And so now we have our content, and so our new page is now bound. All right, let's do another type. Add a new page, and we will choose to make this a post archive page. And if we go to WordPress, we can look at our posts. We only have one, so let's add a couple more. All right, so now we have 3 posts. Let's go to our post archive page. And things are going to be a little bit different on this one because we're getting a list. But we'll insert an H1, and we'll insert a rich text. Again, we're not at all worried about styling in this case. And we'll go here, and we'll go to our post archive data, and we will see the data flowing in. Okay, so we've added the heading and we've added the text. However, right here's another example of when you would need to clear the cache again, or else you may only notice one post. And so for now, I'm actually going to go ahead and turn this cache off so we don't have to fight with it anymore. And we'll turn it back on before we publish. And if we were to get back into styling, so you might want to turn it off while you're framing your pages and then turn it on whenever you get into styling and you don't want to wait for the pages to load. And that being said, even with the cache off, it's pretty quick. All right, so with that, if we go to bind our text here, you're going to see that you have 3, and we don't want to bind to just the first one because then it won't be an archive of all of them. Instead, we need to create a loop. So I'm going to select both of these, and what you can do is if you hold Shift, it'll be wrap in loop, and then we'll click, and that will cause it to wrap. Now, loops by default come with just 3 random entries, just so that you can see that things are actually looping. And if you add a 4th entry and a 5th entry, you can see that it loops more. And if you delete, you can see that it loops less. But that's just the loop creating loops. These things aren't actually bound to anything. So don't take it as anything more than that. What we should do now is go ahead and bind our loop to our post archive data and take our heading 1 and bind this to our loop. And we'll take our text. We will also bind it to our loop. In this case, only one of our items actually had any text inside, but it is in fact working. So now we have a post archive page, and the archive page of any other type would work the same way. Now let's explore another type. We've done specific post, we've done archive. Let's do an any post. So we'll add a heading 1 and we'll add a rich text. And we won't need to loop it because it's going to represent one post. So we'll go here. We'll go to our post data. We'll bind our title. We'll go to our rich text. And we'll go to our post data. And we will bind our content, which this page doesn't have any because we haven't connected in the WordPress backend. Now, in this case, we have the slug coming in, and this is what controls, this is what lets it interact with the data. So that's why you see and another one here. This goes into the slug, which goes into the data bind and then creates the query. And so that's how you can control it, because the post archive is just all of the posts. A specific page is just bound to a specific page, but this one has a dynamic segment, and this dynamic segment controls what data gets fetched. So if we go back to WordPress and we go to a different one and we say, okay, there's a slug of goodbye world. Let's go try that. And sure enough, it works. Now let's go here. And again, we're going to hold shift and wrap this into a link. And we're going to set the href to our post page. And we need to dynamically get the slug. So we will go to the loop item because it's looping over and giving us our items, and we'll find our slug. Here it is. All right. And here's our slug. And if we bind that together, what we've just now done is we've said we want to feed this slug, this dynamic segment of this link, with the data coming from the loop. And what that should do is allow us to click and another one and get to that page, click goodbye world and get to that page, click hello world and get to that page. So you can easily set up routing between your archive and your post page. And in the case of this one, you can do whatever you want. We can go to our front page, for example, and we can just insert a link. We'll drag this up to the very top so we can see it. And we'll just make this say specific page. And on the specific page, because it isn't dynamic, it's just a specific page, you can just choose it. So we'll just go to our new page just like that. And of course that works. All right, so you've seen how to do all manner of linking here, creating archive pages, creating specific pages, creating pages that are dynamic with dynamic segments. And so that's pretty good. Now there's a couple of extra little features that I want to show you. One is that when you're on many of the different page types, you'll see an edit in WordPress button, and you can click this to get to pages. So if we want to get to and another one, we can click edit in WordPress and it will take us to that one. Another cool thing you can do is rather than having to know these slugs, you can drop this down and choose a different one. And then you can click edit in WordPress and you can get there. So this makes it significantly easier to work with WordPress. And we will be adding more little goodies like this into the tool over time, so stay tuned. But that's going to do it for this video. In the next video, I'll be walking you through how to use various WordPress plugins like Advanced Custom Fields and Yoast, and how you can use any plugin that supports the REST API. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.